I left school at 13. I didn't have a formal education, and I believe I would not be standing here tonight without the books, the plays, the scripts. It's been a long journey from Fountain Bridge to this evening with you all.
Fame, frustration, and betrayal. Three forces that defined the life of one of cinema's most iconic men. Sean Connery wasn't just James Bond, he was James Bond. The original 007 who turned a small British spy film into a global phenomenon. But what made the man who embodied sophistication, danger, and confidence suddenly walk away from the role that made him a legend? Why would the most recognizable face of the 1960s reject the fame, fortune, and adoration that millions could only dream of? Behind the glamorous tuxedo and the martinis was a man at war with the very machine that built him. To understand why Sean Connery quit James Bond, we have to go back to where it all began. Long before the red carpets, the Aston Martins, and the gun barrel openings. The rise of a legend. Thomas Sean Connery was born in Edinburgh, Scotland in 1930, into a working-class family. His father was a factory worker, his mother a cleaner. The family lived in a small tenement apartment where money was always tight, and luxury was a distant dream. At 16, Connery left school to work various jobs: milkman, lifeguard, even a coffin polisher. Later, he joined the Royal Navy, but was discharged due to a stomach ulcer. After leaving the service, he worked part-time as a model and developed a strong athletic build through bodybuilding. That physical presence would later help him catch the attention of casting directors. Connery's entry into acting was almost accidental. He auditioned for minor stage roles in the early 1950s and slowly built a reputation for his rugged masculinity. When producers were searching for someone to play Ian Fleming's suave British spy, James Bond, Connery wasn't the obvious choice. Fleming himself initially thought Connery was too rough and unrefined for the role. But once the cameras rolled on Dr. No in 1962, Connery's charisma, confidence, and commanding screen presence redefined the character. He wasn't just an actor playing Bond, he became Bond. Audiences around the world were captivated, and a star was born overnight. The golden era and the pressure of perfection. From 1962 to 1967, Connery starred in 5 Bond films that dominated global box offices: Dr. No, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, Thunderball, and You Only Live Twice. Each film grew larger in scale and success, turning James Bond into a cultural phenomenon. The character represented everything men wanted to be: confident, charming, and fearless, and everything women were drawn to. But behind the glamorous premieres and adoring fans, Connery's life was far from the fantasy his movies portrayed. The production company, Eon Productions, led by Albert R. Broccoli and Harry Saltzman, tightly controlled every aspect of his professional image. They marketed Connery as Bond around the clock, expecting him to live as the character even off-screen. The problem was, Sean Connery was not James Bond. He was a proud Scotsman with strong principles and growing resentment toward the machine that was profiting from his name. The box office numbers soared into the tens of millions, yet Connery was earning a fraction of the revenue. The fame that should have liberated him began to feel like a prison. By the mid-1960s, Connery's relationship with the press had become unbearable. Paparazzi followed him everywhere, from restaurants to bathrooms. During the filming of Thunderball, the media's obsession reached new heights, and Connery's privacy evaporated entirely. He once described fame as a monster, something that devoured every part of his personal life. The more successful Bond became, the more Connery began to feel exploited and trapped. Fame turns to frustration. By the time You Only Live Twice began production in 1966, Connery's patience had worn thin. His disputes with producers were no longer hidden behind closed doors. He publicly complained about being underpaid compared to the massive profits the Bond franchise was earning. Reports from the era reveal that Connery earned roughly $1.25 million for You Only Live Twice, while the film grossed over $111 million worldwide. A staggering imbalance for the face of the series. Connery felt disrespected by Broccoli and Saltzman, claiming they treated him as a replaceable asset rather than a creative partner. In interviews, he openly stated that his contributions to the character's success went unappreciated. The media attention also turned invasive. During location shooting in Japan, photographers chased him relentlessly. One infamously followed him into a public restroom, snapping photos as he tried to escape. Connery, furious and humiliated, refused further interviews and became increasingly reclusive on set. The press portrayed him as arrogant and difficult, but the truth was far more complex. Connery loved acting, but he hated the circus that came with being Bond. He once said, "I have always hated that damned James Bond. I'd like to kill him." It wasn't the character he despised, it was what Bond had done to his life. The fame, the false stories, the constant control. Every aspect of his existence was managed, scrutinized, and monetized. During the final stages of filming You Only Live Twice, Connery made his decision. At the height of his fame, when audiences across the world adored him, he announced that he would not return as James Bond. The press thought he was bluffing. How could the most famous man in the world simply walk away? But Connery meant it. The tension with the producers, the lack of creative freedom, and the suffocating media intrusion had finally reached their breaking point. When the film was released in 1967, it was another massive hit. But the man behind the tuxedo had already mentally checked out. The studio quickly began searching for a replacement, eventually casting George Lazenby in On Her Majesty's Secret Service, 1969. For the first time in the series, audiences realized just how much Connery was Bond. Without his presence, the magic felt different. Yet Connery remained steadfast. He was done with the role that had made him a global icon. Behind the scenes, there were also financial disputes. Connery demanded a larger share of profits and more creative input, but Broccoli and Saltzman refused to renegotiate. Feeling betrayed, Connery walked away, vowing never to return. He had given the world the ultimate secret agent, but the price had been his peace of mind. The comeback and the aftermath. 4 years later, in 1971, Hollywood witnessed the impossible. Sean Connery returned as James Bond in Diamonds Are Forever. Why? The answer was partly business, partly personal vindication. United Artists, desperate to revive declining box office numbers after Lazenby's departure, offered Connery an unprecedented $1.25 million salary, the highest ever paid to an actor at that time, plus a profit-sharing deal. But Connery didn't take the money for himself. In a move that stunned the industry, he donated his entire paycheck to the Scottish International Educational Trust, a charity he founded to help underprivileged children in Scotland. That comeback wasn't just about money, it was about control. Connery demanded full creative authority over his performance and schedule. Diamonds Are Forever performed well commercially, but Connery viewed it as closure. He fulfilled his obligations, reclaimed his image, and finally said goodbye on his own terms. Yet even that wasn't the end. In 1983, Connery shocked audiences again when he reprised the role in Never Say Never Again, a non-Eon production and unofficial Bond film based on Thunderball. The title itself was a playful nod to his earlier vow never to play Bond again. This time, Connery had complete creative control, and his portrayal felt looser, wiser, more self-aware. It was the performance of a man who had made peace with his past. Walking away from Bond opened the door to a new era in Connery's career. Free from typecasting, he took on a range of complex roles that proved his depth as an actor. In 1987, he won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for his role as Jim Malone in The Untouchables. He followed it with memorable performances in Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade, 1989, The Hunt for Red October, 1990, and The Rock, 1996. Each film showcased his versatility, from fatherly warmth to stoic authority, traits often hidden behind Bond's suave exterior. When Connery passed away in 2020 at the age of 90, tributes poured in from around the world. Fans and filmmakers alike acknowledged that without him, Bond might never have become the cultural icon it is today. Sean Connery's story is more than a tale of fame. He didn't just quit James Bond, he liberated himself from it. And in the end, that decision only made his legend grow stronger. Because the man who made Bond a symbol of power and control proved one final truth. Sometimes, the greatest act of courage isn't saving the world. It's saving yourself.